Good morning. It's day 2 of the flooring installation, and next step is I went to Home Depot and I bought a miter box with a saw. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm gonna use this saw to undercut the casing and the door jambs like I mentioned earlier. So I'm gonna undercut those so the floor can slide underneath. And I'm doing it with the miter box, the hand saw, so that DIYers at home can do it. And you can also use, the only other tool I recommend is multi-tool. You can use a multi-tool, vibrates, and you can cut the blade. You can plunge cut the bottoms. But I'm going to do it the old school way, by hand, to show you guys that you can do this at home by yourself. And if you need help with any of this, you can call me and I'll take care of it for you. And I'll be back with some manual hand sawing. Okay, so here's what I recommend. I haven't done this in a while, so we're gonna wing it and use my brain power. So here, we want a piece of the flooring, so we want to flush cut. We want the saw to ride on top of the flooring like that when we're cutting it, so it leaves a bit of space for the floor to go underneath the casing and the door jamb. So what we're gonna do is make sure there's a good amount of this, so you can see that this part of the saw is right up against the end of this piece of flooring that I'm going to use. I'm going to pull that out, and that is where we're going to cut it. I'm not sure if I have a pencil, so I'm going to mark that with a knife. So I'm going to cut it right there. It doesn't have to be exact. This is just for reference, and you can see that this piece is a little bit damaged as it is. So we're going to use the square, place the square on there, and actually, let's do that one more time so you can see. So this, we push to here. We're gonna bring the square there, maybe bring in just a little bit, and then we'll score this. Once it's usually enough, if the knife is dull on the tip, this one seems a little bit dull, but the foot just snap like that. That's all you need to do to cut this floor if it's the thin one. So we take this piece, and over here you see there's no underlayment. So you have to make sure, actually when there is no underlayment, what you do is you grab a little piece of underlayment. I'll show you both ways. And then you put it down where the floor is going to be. You get the piece of flooring. So we're going to cut it like this. I'll show you. Just try to give you the best angle. So we're going to cut it like this and we'll push it down. Put this saw on top, as you can see, and there's better saws for this, but this one should work. So we're gonna go like that, and we're just gonna ride it back and forth, and make sure this flooring stays in place. And the brand new saw is always good because it's nice and sharp. So ideally, once you start cutting, you want to switch it around. So you also want to get this to the front. So we're going to hold this piece in the front. So you kind of want to go around. And then once we go around, you try to make the cut as clean as possible all the way through, but after you get a certain depth inside, you're not going to see anything. So hold this again, and same thing on the front. And you can see we cut this the length of the blade. You can see we cut this the length of the blade so that this part, there's a little bit of a step here, it doesn't stop you from going in. Otherwise, this would be on top, and if this piece was bigger, it would be on an angle, and try to be as accurate as possible. So I'm going to I'll cut this one all the way, and then I'll do the other ones off camera probably. So be careful around the, actually it doesn't matter. around the baseboard because it's gonna go underneath. So we cut through there. And now we're gonna go to the back side. Same thing on this side. Easy peasy, low budget. You don't need many tools. Cut it there. I think that's all the way through. And then once you get it going, you can come back without the block. See, that feels like it's all the way through. And now we'll come back to the front and we'll cut through the door jamb. Make sure I have a good video. I think it's good there. And then let's cut this. And you can feel when you cut all the way through. And take that away. Sweep this away. Ideally vacuum it. Take out all of the flooring. And then when we install this flooring, it's going to look like that. So it's going to go underneath and there's going to be a bit of room for expansion and contraction. And it's going to have a nice clean joint. And I'm going to do that with the rest of them. And here I don't have to use a piece of underlayment. I can just put it straight on this underlayment like that. Actually here on the front is actually good already because of the carpet. So that's fine. And I might just have to cut the front a little bit. And that's it. And I'll be back after I cut all those. Okay, and so on YouTube you probably already see people doing the easy ones, but I was able to use the saw and I was able to cut in here with that saw. It was a little frustrating, but you can see I cut it out. And when I do work, I don't skip cut any corners. I do everything right, even where you can't see it. And so everything's going to fit underneath now. So it's all cut out here. Here it feels like there's maybe another piece of wood. So I'll get that, and then I'll do one more for you guys. So let's figure out what's under here. Looks like it wasn't cut all the way through. So now it's cut all the way through, so the floor can slide. And that's important because you want it to expand. And let's go do one more. Let's go, where are we gonna go? Over there, here's a hard one, let's do a hard one. Show you guys I'm not fucking around. So we're gonna do this one. So this one, and this one's a hard one because the saw can't go back and forth over there. So it's gonna be a lot of short holes in the saw. So even these are doable. Let's get a better angle. Yeah, like that's good. So you can see, and I recommend always buying a new saw. This thing was like 16 something Canadian on clearance, regularly 20 something with the miter box. And we're gonna use the miter box. We're cutting the shoe molding door stop for the bottom. That's the last step. So you can see even when it's hard like this, you just gotta keep going. And that's also the convenience of cutting the floor to the size of the blade. You can just ride that blade back and forth. You can see how very good exercise. Take a break. Take as many breaks as you need. And just keep going. Hit the side a bit. Move to the front. The front's actually good. You can see the floor slides underneath. So we can go back to the side. Just keep going back and forth. That's a hell of a workout. My hands, I'm sweating. Just gotta keep going. You can see why multi-tool is easier. But I'm not gonna use the multi-tool. This actually, I find that doing it this way actually makes it a little bit cleaner looking. More work, but it looks nicer. Let's see where we are. I think we're almost through. Don't give up. Things get the hardest just before they get easier. Or before you're done. And you can feel it when it's all the way through. It's not fucking easy. That's why if you don't want to do this, give me a call, send me an email, 647-291-3099. In Ontario, 587-572-8453. In Alberta, and you can email me at David or info@buildaholics.com. So David@buildaholics.com or info@buildaholics.com. And I think I might be through the majority of it. This is actually harder than the closet. This is the real renos. They never see them struggling like this on TV. Looks like this part's busted off. And that's it. We fucking did it. So this is gonna go like that. And we're golden. And I'm sweating. My armpits are all wet and stinky. And I'm gonna take a second breather and I'm gonna go do that side. And then into the closets in the bedroom. Okay, I'm back and I'm going to do this tricky transition. You see all the crazy angles, and it's actually easier than you think it is. What you need to do is, so you're going to do this, measure, since we know this is a full piece, so we know that measurement already, so it's a full piece. Measure here, you have 33.5. And I went over to the roll. I got 33.5 off the roll. And I have this piece now. So this piece. And you can see it has a little bit of the small pieces have a little bit of a memory to it. So you want to roll it. I'm going to roll back the other way. Rolling it back the other way. I don't know if you can see it on camera. So I'm rolling it back the other way. just to flatten it out. Flatten it out a little bit. Now you can see it's sitting a bit flatter. I'm going to stick this in here. To line this up with the seams. I'm going to tape that down like that. And if I know where the tape is, tape this down. Tape it down, and now we know where our cuts need to be made, so it's very straightforward. So now we figure out where our cuts need to be made. We'll tuck this in, fold it up against the wall, and then we'll just run the blade along that mark. So we cut it like that. Tuck this underneath. And then do the same thing here. Tuck that in. Cut that out. Tuck this in. Tuck this underneath. Hold it down. And now we just, I think the easiest thing here, the easiest thing to do here is just follow this line and cut it. Cut the floor. So cutting that. Cut this side. So we cut along that line, and now we lift this up. We should just easily remove this piece. And ta-da! Made a complex thing, very easy. And now we just tape these seams. So I'm going to tape these seams. So like that, and then I'll just get some small pieces and cut them around here in the same fashion. And then we'll be back with floor insulation finally. And you gotta clean up this dust. Okay, I decided that I'm going to show everything. I'll show more than I should. This is for beginners. So I'm going to measure what this measurement is. And it's like 4.5 will slide under the baseboard. 4.5 over there. And 4.5 will fit here. So take 4.5 and go over here. We'll measure 4.5 here. And we'll cut off the roll. Set up the camera. So I have the roll here. We'll measure 4.5. And 4.5 is this bubble. And just cut it down. And you could use a straight edge on this. I don't have one here, so I'm just gonna eyeball it because I'm a professional. So 4.5 all the way down. Take this piece. Take this piece. And install it in here. And let's tape that down. And that's it. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that all the way along the wall and then flooring installation. Okay, and we're ready to put the floor in. You can see this floor is, or this underlayment's all installed. Closet, it's all good to go. Picked up all the big chunks and soaked up the debris, so ready to go. And we're going to start on this wall. So when starting flooring, you want to start on the longest, straightest wall, which is this one. We're going to start on this wall, and then we're going to work our way into this room, transition through this threshold. And my battery died, so I'm back. Like I said, we're going to use a long wall as the reference. I'm going to lay out 4 rows, how many rows we can get. And then we're going to measure from this side to that side and make sure that we're installing it parallel to the floor. Yes, parallel to the walls. And if this was a bigger room, I would snap lines. I would snap a straight line across maybe 3-4 rows in from that wall and then reference it to the back wall and make sure we're going as straight as possible. And there's no such thing as a straight wall. You can see this one's actually not too bad. This one's actually pretty straight. But usually there's bends and twists and turns in walls. And you just try to do your best. And I will start installing the floor. Let's see, I'm gonna try to find the best camera angle. So actually, I think here would be the best camera angle. We're gonna start on this end. So on this end, because the floor clicks together, we're going to start on this end. So our first pieces are going to go there, and then we'll move over from there. And let's do it. Okay. So actually the first thing I like to do is, be on camera, first thing I like to do is find out, when I open this box, which way these boards are the boards, I guess called boards. The flooring is facing. So we're gonna cut this box open. I'm gonna get this box open. And let's see where the tongue and grooves are, because you can only install these. You can only install these in one direction. You need to line up the tongue and grooves. So let's see which way we should have all the boxes facing. So open this one, and you can see I opened it backwards. So I'm going to want all the boxes to be turned around the other way, because this side's going to be the starting point, and this is what's going to click into the next floor, which I'm going to show you soon. So this clicks into the floor. This part clicks into the floor above, in front of it, and then this part from the next piece clicks into here. So we're going to turn the boxes around so they're all in the right direction to save time on labor. So the right way to have these boxes open is the flap should be this way. So we should have the flap this way, and then we'll take them out like that, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the rest of them. Make sure they're all opening like this, and then we're going to go over here. And so the first piece is going to go. We're going to go full. We're going to go full piece. And our goal with this flooring is to do a random pattern. And there's I think like 3 or 4 ways of installing this floor, but we're going with the random pattern, which means I'm going to try and change up where the joints are. Every row, I'm going to try to change up the joints. If you cut the same pieces and at the end and bring them here, you're going to have a stair pattern. So you have a stair pattern. And then if you use a full piece every other row, you'll have a H pattern. And then, so I think there's 3 ways. There might be a 4th one, I don't know. But the way I like to do is random. So I like to make it look like it's as random as possible and there's no pattern involved. And let's actually, I'll show you the back side of this box. And when you're doing these floors, I always recommend reading. The back of the box. The back of the box will actually show you everything. So you can see, it tells you to keep it in the room for 48 hours. It's been in here for 24. And it all depends on the humidity and the temperature. It tells you to do all the steps. You can pause and read this if you want. And then it tells you the minimum piece. You want a minimum 4-inch piece against the wall, against each wall. And then it says you want a 10 millimeter 3/8 gap at the wall. And then it says your joint spacing needs to be max 16 inches. It says max, but I don't know if that's max or min. No, I think that's minimum. So it's supposed to be 16 inches joint to joint. And what does that say? I'm not sure what that is, but I've done this before. And that's a 25-year warranty. And so I'll start installing it. So let's get a good angle. So you can see the first piece is there. And then we're just gonna install this going that way. And these are easy to install. You just need to click these in, just like that. And actually, when they're nice and smooth, the more money you spend on this, the nicer it goes together. And you can see how I was mentioning about the walls not being straight. You can see there's a big bow right here. So we're going to try and line it up. We're going to try and line it up with the baseboard, because the baseboard already gives you the necessary expansion joint. So we're going to go like that. And then the next piece we're going to cut, and we want to cut this side because the floor needs to connect to the other side. So we're going to go with, it says 16, let's do 16 inches like it said on the box. I just need to find my knife again, my square, knife and square. I don't know where the hell my knife is, and walking around. I think I used it on this box. So there it is, and I'm correct. So I need measuring tape. I might cut that out. So we're gonna measure. So we're gonna measure 16. We'll measure to 16. It doesn't have to be that accurate. So 16 is there, and we'll cut it. I'm not happy with this blade, so we're going to snap it. Watch out for your eyes, and always take this piece and put it somewhere. Garbage. You want a nice sharp tip to cut this floor, and you can feel it digging in better. And it's sharp, and then we just snap it like that. And this piece we actually use on that end, so this piece is still good. So we can use this on the far end to put over there, and then this piece just clicks in like that. It's actually very nice. It actually clicks together very nicely. I installed the cheaper floor and it was a little bit harder to put together. This one, very nice. So we're gonna do that, and then I think we'll do. So we're gonna go 16s, and then we're gonna make it random. So the first couple pieces we can use that stair pattern like I was talking about. So if we cut this one now at 32, which is 16 twice. So we'll cut this one to 32, 16 twice, which is 32 is there, was there. I'm trying to see them on camera still. So 32 is there, and we cut that. And the sharp blade makes a big difference. We snap that over our knee, and so this piece is going to get used on the far side again. And you could, if you like that look, the stair look, you could do this. You can install it like this all the way. So you can install like this all the way. So whatever you cut on that end, you bring back to this end, and you can keep doing that, but you'll have that stair pattern going all around. But I like to have the random pattern, so I'm going to change it up on the 4th row. I'm going to throw in a different piece, and I'll start installing this. I'll install it like this all the way across, and then we'll measure off that wall to see if we're straight for reference. And I'm going to try to find a good angle to record all this, which I think is this one. So we'll put this like that, and I'll install the floor. Maybe I'll speed it up when I edit it. So do that, and then we'll just go down. We'll go down the row. So click that in first, and then slide it back to make sure we're locked in. Locked in over here. Make sure it's nice and tight. And the first couple pieces are a little harder because of the. Should I slide it in here? Doing something wrong. So slide it in here. Make sure we're tight in here. And then we can slide it in here. And then usually the first couple pieces take some time. But then once you start going, it gets easier. And also you get better at installing the floor just from practice. So that's installed now. And when you install it, you want to make sure there's no gaps. You can't, it's a little dark, you can't see where the seam is. You can feel it, but you don't see it. So you want that to be like that. You want that to be the case all the way down. And we'll keep going. And then once I get this 3 rows in, I'll put something heavy on the to hold in place. So we'll keep going like that. Make sure to slide in here. No, this one's a little bit different. I need to make sure this is in first. There is no clicking, so I need to slide that in first, and then slide this in. Nice seam. And we do have a mallet in case we need it. And yeah, so this last row we can actually put in another one. So we'll go 4 rows. We'll do a full piece again, and then we'll start going random. So you see this first row is going to be kind of the stair pattern that I talked about. And you can install like this if you like this look. Some people like the look, but I like the random look. But actually, after you install it, you don't even look at it anymore. Whenever I walk on the floor after installing it, I don't even look at the pattern. You don't even notice it. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You can see here, there's a little bit of a gap. It's touching here. There's always going to be a little bit of imperfection in the flooring. So there's like this little hair gap right there. And what I like to do is, you might not even see on camera, what I like to do is I have a mallet, and I'm gonna go get that block I was using for cutting the undercut. And I also have a hammer. And where the hell did I even put that piece of wood? Right through the garbage. I have a little piece of plywood. So what I like to do is give it a little bit of a tap. Just to get it closed. So we want to get this thing as close as possible, which is now. And we'll keep going this way. So that's the stair pattern. So you can see why it's called the stair pattern. There's literally stairs. And we'll go all the way down to the end. And I'll cut up this next box. We also flap to be on the other side. Which I think it was already. No, we're good. Inside. One piece here, and then let's go full length. Shit, I think it's supposed to be the other way. So we'll slide this in. Slide this piece in, and then we'll slide the next piece on top of that. You should have walked in. Locked in nice and there. No gaps. And then here I actually have a little bit of a gap. So what I'm going to do is I need to make a little tapping block. I wish I had that little. I'll try to use this piece of plywood. So I'm going to tap this over. You see there's a little bit of a gap. Ever so small, right over there by my shadow. And give this a little bit of a tap. Let's see if I can get this thing to close. And the road mallet helps sometimes. Give this a little bit of a tap this way. Put it over here. Should slide and close. And it's still kind of there. It's not being forced to close. And we closed it. Yeah, so you see it's closed. And we'll continue with the installation. So that piece is in, and now I'm going to jump back and just keep doing that. Keep doing that with full pieces. So these are the cutoffs we're going to use on that end. So grab another full piece, stick it in here. And so from that one we learned that we need to go as tightly as possible to the side. Take our time and then slide this piece in. A little bit of elbow grease. There we go. And when it's in place, it makes a nice little clicking sound. I think we also call this click flooring. So it's like laminate, but it's waterproof. So I don't even recommend installing laminate anymore. Laminate's fucking RIP fucking laminate. It's like laminate, but better because you get the benefits of it being waterproof. And then the big thing here is you want to make sure that we keep closing this gap. Like a little imperfection here. Maybe try and get down a little bit. Not even noticeable. You can feel it. Feel a little bit of tap. And then to close up this little gap, we'll get this to tap on the side again. And it's closed. Yeah, so we're going to keep an eye on that. And just keep going with this installation down this line. So now I'm going to go over there and do the same thing again. You hear a click. And also when it clicks together, yeah, you hear a click. It lays flat when it clicks together. So another one, another full piece here. So click there. Okay. There's a little faint click here, and there's a little bit of a gap here. And I'm just going to keep using this block for now. Make sure that stays closed. You see, moved a little bit, and we're closed. And that's perfect. Now we're going to put another piece here. And you see this doesn't want to go quite. The more time you take with this, make sure that you're clicking row to row, you don't leave the gaps. The easier it gets later. So actually when it's nice, you're gonna make a distinct clicking sound, but there's still a little bit of a gap here. We'll give it a little bit of a bang, a little tappy poo with the hammer. And we're closed. So we're gonna do like that. If you put your hand over it and you feel like there's a little bit of a, on these joints, you can give it a bit of a tap. And on the really cheap floors, you have to bang that seam in. This seam you bang in, you don't click it like this one is. So this is a little bit of a better product. And now we've come to the end of the journey on this side. And so now you can see there's a little bit of a piece there. And now you have two options. Two options are you take this piece, you cut it and put it in there. Well, what I want to do is I want to do a random pattern on the back side. Random pattern on the whole floor. And so I'm going to get a new piece. So I'm going to take a new piece. And the easiest way to cut this is, because I want to have a piece that's different than what I've been using to get that random pattern. So what we need is, this is the way that we've been installing it. We've been installing it like this. And we need to cut for here. But we don't cut this piece because this piece is going to get locked in on the other side. We need to actually flip it upside down. And when you flip it upside down, you can push it up against the baseboard. And you could actually, I'm gonna use a pencil. I'll get a pencil, my square, and a knife. Pencil, square, and a knife. And so we're gonna go like that. So this piece is gonna lock into here. So we're gonna mark it from there. So we're gonna mark where that's gonna click in. And then when we put it in place, it should be right up against the baseboard. So I mark it there. Hopefully you can see that. And then we'll put I'm not sure if you can cut it from this side. Let's see what happens. I think you can cut it from both sides. But I think actually it'd be better to cut it from this side. So let's mark it. I think it'll snap better. So let's put the mark on this side. Do the same thing again. Like that. Snap. And now this piece is just gonna click in. Just click in like that. And I want to be tight to the. Usually, if you don't have baseboard in place, install it with that 3/8, 1/4 gap, because actually it's a little tight on this corner. Because you get that expansion around. You know the expansion, the floor could potentially lift itself up when the floor expands. The floor can lift itself up and get damaged. So, but here we have the baseboard installed, so we're gonna tap this down carefully. And our expansion is gonna be underneath the baseboard. And then we're going to do the same thing with the next piece. So now this piece is going to be our starter on the other side. And this is the other cutoff we have, which will fit perfectly here. So this is the cutoff from the other side. So we're going to take this one and same thing, upside down. Put up against the baseboard, or mark it over here. Transfer that mark to the other side. Flip it around. and give it a cut. And snap it. And same thing, rinse and repeat. And then, actually you can see this floor is damaged. You can see this corner is damaged. So we're not going to use this. And then the cutoff piece we can actually use as a block now for hitting the floor. So this one's damaged, so I'm not going to use it unless there's a situation that comes up that I can actually cut this part off. Maybe on the end, on the back wall. So we'll grab a new piece. We don't install any broken pieces because they're going to be impossible to replace after. And same thing, mark it. Mark it. Cut it. Install it. Mark it, cut it, install it. And I think I need to cut a little bit less. So you can see it's kind of big, so I'm gonna shave this end. And it's okay to leave a little bit of a gap because there will be a molding going in around the edge to cover it. And then you gotta make sure these joints are clean. Yeah, looks like we're too tight. I think I should start, I think what I said, scratch what I said, leave like an 1/8 gap. So you don't have to mess around like that. Yeah, it's easier to cut it once, so you can't really cut it second time. Yeah, see, so don't listen to what I said. You can see I'm having issues here with the baseboard. Yeah, it's way too tight. It's not even messing around with this. So we need to cut this. I'm actually gonna try a little trick. Okay, so if you feel like you cut it too big, I think snips would actually work. You guys see that? That actually does work. So just snip off. It's not the best way, but it looks like it will work. And that's actually much easier than trying to use the knife. So as you can see, even some of the experience, no example of this, but you see even some of the experience could run into issues, but you can always resolve the issues. So it looks like it's still a little bit big, and I learned that I'm gonna leave a gap just to make it easier to install. So fix it with the knife. Yeah, you can see that's actually pretty square just by using snips and a knife. Because I'm a professional, don't try this at home. And let's see if we get this piece installed. Once it's installed, there's actually going to be a little bit more room down under the baseboard. There we go, clicked it. Click it back in here, and then we'll have to give it a little and now you can see there's actually room there to expand. And I was saying that now we can use that other piece, the cutout piece doesn't have any more angles. Doesn't have any more ends. We use it as a tapping block. Make sure that we're all locked in. It doesn't matter if we break it because it's gonna be our tapping block from now on. We actually hit this with the metal hammer. There we go, that was the persuasion that we needed. And then we're locked in. So I'll show you even what happens when you make mistakes. But always, okay. And then now, I'll grab another full piece so we can go from end to end. And we'll do the same thing, but this time we'll learn from our mistake and we'll cut it a little bit. We'll cut it a little bit less. So we'll see here. You can see here that I'm gonna mark it. I'll mark it out where the joint is. So we'll give it like a 1/4 inch, maybe a little less. Mark. We'll transfer that mark to the other side. So our mark's right there, right here. So we'll cut it a little bit less so we can struggle. So we're going to start installing it. Snap that and put it in place. Actually, this one's also damaged on the corner. You gotta be careful. See, this one's also damaged. So ideally I need to look at that before I cut it. Yeah, this one's fine. So the next one's fine. Those other ones I'm going to try and use on the back walls. There's 2 back walls, so I might be able to use them there. But we'll do the same thing. Same thing here. Mark it 1/4 inch. A little bit less. A little bit less. Transfer onto this side. Cut it. Snap it. Install it. Cut it, snap it, install it. Make that to a song. Cut it, snap it, install it. That's what happens when you work by yourself. Okay. So click this in. Just click it nicely over there. Over here, there's a slight gap, and over here there's a slight gap. So I'm gonna get a, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see. I'm gonna get the scraper, and I'm gonna stick it in there and try and push it over a little bit. This in here. There's actually a tool you can buy at the store that does this. I'm going to do that. Give it a little bit of a push. And it should close. Like that. There's a tool that has a piece here that you can hammer back. Still a little bit of a gap. So force it that way without breaking anything. As you kind of see all the little issues that you can come across. There we go. That did it. So the rubber mallet on the 45 made it bounce back. And so now we're locked in. No gaps, and then with the scoop up these little plastic shards, so let them go underneath the floor. And we can grab another new piece. Lock this into place. same thing. We'll give it a little bit of a tap. And if there is room on this side, I would ideally hit it with a hammer. It makes it much easier. I'm not sure if you can even see this. Give a little bit of a tap this way. And we're still not closed. And now we are closed. It looks like I damaged it, but it's just the weight coming off the hammer. These floors are very strong. Okay, so that's in place. And then now there's another piece we need to cut for over here, but it might actually end up. So that's actually where it's going to be. You can put the next piece in, and it gives you an idea of where it's going to end up. So we actually need to cut this a little bit longer so that it slides all the way in there, because you'll see this gap in here. So we'll take this measurement now. So let's see if I have a piece that I can work with. And I do. This one will work. So here we need to find out the length, which is this. So we want to be tight. We want a 1/4 inch from here. You can't even see what I'm talking about. 1/4 inch from here, and we want to have this piece underneath. So we'll mark it here. So we'll mark it here, so that 1/4 inch, and then we'll put a molding along the door. Mark it there. Bring it to this side. Mark with a square and knife. And so this piece is going to go in here, but we need to figure out how much of this we need to remove, which is probably going to be something like that. So we need to cut this out. For how much? Cut it out. For the floor where it's going to be sitting, and probably up to here. So we'll cut this out to here, so this part is underneath the casing. Hopefully I'm recording all this. And we'll cut a square here. And I have a little circular saw I'm going to cut that with. So I'm going to cut this out with a circular saw. And I'm going to actually pre-cut it on this side with the knife. So I'll pre-cut it to the line here. I'll cut it here. Like that. And then I have a cordless circular saw. I'm going to remove that piece there. I'll be right back. I said I'll be right back, but I'll actually show you how to cut it. So I'm going outside. I'm using this little saw. You can use a table saw. Word protection. All this is shooting my face. Cut it there. cut it there. Just like that. And I might have messed up. Might have cut it too far. But we'll see what it looks like. If it doesn't look good, I'll cut it again. I was too focused on the camera, not focused on making the cut. But I'm not gonna install something I'm not happy with. So now we'll take this piece out, and then let's see how this fits. So you can see where I made the mistake. So everything went according to plan, except for this. See, I cut too far. I cut that line too far, and this could actually be a little bit deeper. So now I'll just use this as a template and cut a piece off another one. This is very important. We don't want this to show. You can see, you probably couldn't see, but I don't like installing it like that. So I'm gonna take that again, cut it again off camera and bring it back. And we're back, and I use that piece as a template. And now we should be golden. So we want to make sure we hide everything underneath the casing and the door jamb. And we should be fine here. Let's try and get this piece installed. And then these are the hardest pieces to get in place. This might take some time. This piece is kind of, I want to get it kind of over there. I'm going to have to slide it in from this side. So we'll put this piece in. I think I have to tap it into here. I'll leave it this way, and then I have to slide it that way. Just slide it. You can use this piece, this cut off piece, and we'll give it a bit of a, we'll tap it. We'll tap it till it gets in. Tap it lightly, so you don't break anything. Just like that. And then once we're at this joint, push it down a little bit. And that sheet, very nice floor. Keep tapping until it locks in, and that actually worked out very nicely. You can see how nice that is. It's tucked underneath. So now the next piece can go in here. It's tucked underneath here, and then there's going to be a little bit of molding that covers this gap. Perfect. Now I got this whole row down. I'm gonna clean this up a bit. Put the boxes of flooring on top of it, hold it in place. And then I'll measure from wall to wall, or from flooring to wall, and let's see if I'm going straight. Okay, so I put the boxes. Take my headphones off. I like listening to audiobooks as I work. So I put the flooring on top of the 4 rows that I put in over there, and I measured from that baseboard to this side. And I have 101 and 5/8 over here, and over here I have 101 and 3/4. So it's about an 1/8. There's about an 1/8 difference, which is fine. I'm happy with that. So it's as straight as it's going to be because of how this wall is. You can see if I move this floor away from the wall, there's going to be more of a gap, and I'll be worried about that being covered by the molding. So I'm going to leave it like that. So I'm happy with this, and I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing here. And like I said, I'm going to make a random pattern. You can do a stair pattern if you want, like it is. and I'll come back when I get to the transition here, which is tricky. How I'm gonna get from this room into this room. And I'll be right back. Okay, so we're this far into the installation. And over here's a tricky place. And the best way to cut these is put the floor up against where we're starting. Mark it over here. Put the floor where it's going to be installed. And mark that. And then use a square. And just cut that out. We'll cut this out. This gets removed. And we'll come back. We're back. And you see I put the piece in. There's a bit of a gap here and a gap here, but that's not going to be covered with the shoe molding doorstop I'm going to use. And that's perfect. That's exactly what it should look like. And we continue the floor installation. Okay, I'm back with midway progress. So this is midway through this room, maybe a little bit more. You can see I'm going to stepping it back, and it's a random pattern. It's not steps. You can see at the floor here that there's no defined pattern. That everything is random as possible. And you will run into this issue sometimes. Sometimes the floor will be exactly to the end, and in this situation it was almost exactly, and I feel like this gaps might be a little bit too big. It might be fine too, but just to be safe, I'm going to cut a piece off the end. So I'm going to cut this piece off, a little sliver, and I'm going to use this that you can buy at Home Depot, maybe at Rona too. It's a 2-part Instabond glue. So I'll put this on one side, down the other side, and I'm going to glue it onto the end just to make sure that it's covered to prevent any future problems. And I'll show you how I do that. So I'll take this, I'm going to cut this piece off the end. So maybe it's not that very big. So I'm going to cut that. I'll use a piece from this end. All three of these have damaged tips, so I'll use a brand new piece, and then after I'll use it as a starter. And so I'm going to set the camera up here, get a knife, and then this I'm probably going to have to cut multiple times because I'm not going to have any leverage. So I'm going to take this, and I think I need about that much. Just going to keep scoring this till it breaks, or almost breaks. There it goes, comes off. So I have this little sliver, which is basically just the end piece that locks in. And now we're going to, let's see if I can do this with the camera in front of me. So now we're going to take this. This is the liquid. So this is the liquid. We're going to put the liquid in here. If I can. It's really tight. I might have to open the door. I don't know if this is even maybe glued shut. I might have to cut the end. I don't think there's anything coming out. Yeah, I'm going to cut the end with my knife. So I'm going to go get my knife. And let me know in the comments below, all the guys watching this that do this for a living, if Do you guys have a better solution for this? I think this is the only solution. And cut this again. Cut that out. That looks like it's coming out, so I'm gonna put that there. So that's on there, and I'm actually gonna put some on here too. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to just put it on one side, but this to be safe. And then we use this accelerator. This accelerator is gonna cause it to dry really quickly on contact. So I'm gonna spray this bit, and quickly as possible, shove this thing in here to make it look nice. I don't know if that's gonna shove it in here just to make sure. We'll give it some taps. Okay, we'll give it a couple love taps with my hammer. Let's see what happens. And then just putting that in should be enough. Should need to open the door. Move all this stuff out of the way. Open the door. All the people driving by looking at me working here. I'm gonna try to get this a tap. And you see the difficulty of the situation. I might have to see if I can make this look nice. So I'm gonna tap this in. And I think that might be enough. That might be enough. Just to mold. The molding's gonna come. So it looks like that now. So the molding's gonna come and cover this little gap, and it has room to expand. And I might put a little bit more glue here just to have it stick better. Okay, here's an update. This room is 98.5% completed, 99%. I want to say this, probably this side. And then you can see how the strip that's left to do on the end. And I'm probably gonna put in this piece. And this piece has to be full length so that the tongue and groove line up over here. And then I'll do the last piece with, I'll see what material I have. If I have something, I'll cut it right away. And then I'll transition into this room. You can see how nice the floor is looking. And I'll be back with some more progress. Maybe I'll show you how to cut this one. Okay, so I told you I was going to record me cutting it, but I forgot. And it took me 3 tries. The first one, I messed up a little bit, so I used it as a template. And then the second one broke on me. And now I'm on the third one. And that's going to happen to you sometimes with these skinny pieces and these tricky transitions. Sometimes you got to use multiple pieces. But what I want to show you guys is me installing it. So it's not clicked in yet, but it's just sitting there. So you can see it's nicely underneath. The important thing is underneath the casing and underneath the door jamb. So the next piece is there's not gonna be any gaps there. That gap's gonna get filled in by the molding, the shoe molding trim, door stop, whatever you want to call it. And then this part here, when you're not able to click it in, you need to use, it's called a scraper. You get in the painting section at Home Depot. You stick it in there and it clicks in place just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All these things you learn as you go. And I'm making this video so you guys can see day in the life of a contractor in Canada, and also how you can do this yourself. If you're brave enough, everything looks easy on YouTube, but there are tricks tricks of trade that will make this look easy and be easy. And the first time I did this floor, I made a few mistakes, which was a long time ago. But I've learned from all those mistakes, and then I've learned how to be more efficient and install the floor. But you still make mistakes, things break. That's why you always order more floor than you need. And then the tricky part here is trying to get this to come back. I need the floor to come back a little bit to make this flush, which sometimes is harder than it looks. But I think if I use the rubber mallet, I can make it scoot over a little bit. It's the little transitions that make things hard. And then taking your time on the parts that are near doorways. In casing, you want to make sure that the floor goes underneath without any gaps. And then sometimes tapping this makes it go in place. I think it needs a little bit more persuasion. To be persuaded into fitting in here. So just click in. And I'm going to try and get rid of this gap. Maybe I give it a tap on that side, but it's very risky. I can give it a tap over there, but you can see it's a very thin piece. So I'll try and get this closed as best as I can. And worst case scenario, when the floor expands and contracts, it might push in. But I'm going to try my best to try and close this. Looks like it's moving around a little bit. Let's see if I can make this move over a little bit. I'll try and give it a little bit of persuasion with the crowbar and a little bit of tapping. And there we go, got it closed. Set close on camera. A little double action, a little vibration. And it's worth the time. Take your time on these critical, these are like make it or break it points. So you want this to be underneath the casing. Now get covered with trim. And then the next piece. And I'll continue on